Furious Driving, proud to be supported by Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the Furious fleet and for yours, with 10% off using code FD10. Follow the links in the description below. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving, and in this video we're going to complete the passenger side of the Crown Victoria. Finally we're going to get that done. Unfortunately we've had, as is so typical of this channel, a slight hold up because the part I need for that is over there on the other side of the garage, which is not an insurmountable issue you might imagine, except this motorised roller shutter door, a little while ago it lost track of its top and bottom points, and so you have to manually stop it when it gets to the top and bottom of when it's winding up and winding down. However, the other day I had the key in my pocket and I didn't notice it had started winding down, and it wound itself all the way down, broke those two brackets on the middle and the right hand side. This bracket, I don't even know where it's gone anymore, and it's fallen off its little perchy thing over there. And there is a fairly sizable Mercedes between me and a bit of Crown Victoria over there. So getting the part I need is something of an issue. Yeah, so step one, find the part. Step two, attach it to the car. Join me again in a moment when I've finally figured out how on earth to get to that bit of metal in that tall cardboard tube over there. Well, we have made it safely over here to the barn with the Punto, which wasn't here last night. It was in one of the little lockups elsewhere because there are too many little lockups. I need to solve that problem. But we have added one more problem to its litany of issues. It needs a new battery. It suffers like so many other cars that are part of large collections that are kept warm, safe and dry but not driven enough, and the batteries do go kaput. But luckily when I got to the garage and this happened... Oh, come on. I had this on me. Now this topped on JS2000 will happily jumpstart an 8 litre petrol or a 6 litre diesel. So the 1.4, I forgot what size engine this car is. It's a 1.2 or a 1.4, I think it might be 1.2, was literally no issue whatsoever, like this. Whee! The car was running. That was fantastic. This thing will do 35 jump starts in a row. And as you saw at the beginning of the video, it has a torch, so it makes itself extra useful like that. And when I'm out and about doing jobs and things around the place, it's got a couple of USBs in there, so I can recharge my phone, I can recharge the GoPro, I can recharge these little microphones that I'm talking on right now, I can even recharge my Nikon cameras and a bunch of other things. Literally anything with a USB you can charge off this, which is a super useful source of electricity in the field, whether it's for something as big as a car or as small as a phone. Now I use jump start packs all the time, so having something like this on me is an essential bit of kit to keep in the bag at all times. And it has a bunch of safety checks built in as well, so you can't do something dumb like putting the battery terminals on the wrong way around and having an incident, which is good. It's also small enough to be portable, light enough not to be a problem in your bag. It's vaguely weatherproof and it probably won't break if you drop it on the floor too hard. Now if you want to grab one of these things, hit the link in the description below. Now I don't want to be boring you with endless more hours of the back of my head, lots of sparks and me shouting ouch when bits of weld goes down my boot and sets fire to my socks. So what I'll tell you, I've been doing a fair bit of time off camera just doing this seam. Some of it actually even looks pretty good. This is not ground at all, this is straight from the Zappy gun. And I've put a bit of zinc primer over the top of it so it doesn't flash off in the night. Yeah, it actually looks really tidy, where I've got a really nice clean join, or a tidy join between the bits of metal. It's a lovely smooth weld. It's not exactly stacking dimes, but it's as close as I get to it. But further back down the car, when the original metal and the replacement panel have started pulling apart from each other, and that's obviously not going to weld because they need to be as nicely tight as possible. I've actually used a little welder's trick, which is to use screws to hold everything tightly together, so I can now get a nice neat weld in this little gap just here, and then once it's all done I can do the bottom part. Of course I've got a bit of a leeway on time, because even when it's finished I can't get the car off the jacks anymore because the jacks are over in the garage, which I can't get out now, so yay! and a little bit longer welding, and the tyre top seam is now, well, basically seam welded, and it's kind of stacking dimes-ish. Not too bad, really. Right, another day, another cup of tea, and actually the very old original style Furious Driving mug. I've got lots of the nicer newer ones. I think the new ones are actually quite a lot nicer. They're like the shade of red I really wanted in the first place, and they're a different design on the Furious Driving store. Anyway, the reason these jobs take so long, because this is now Monday. I did the seam weld along the top of that bit on Friday, where I'm actually pretty happy with that. I plan to do more of that, but I had to get the Peugeot 309 video finished editing, so that could go up Friday evening, which hopefully you've watched. If you haven't, link above. Really good video, I hope you enjoy. Also, I had to get a magazine edited because I did some photos for a magazine, and again, a massive hurry, last minute kind of thing, and that needed to be done on Friday as well, so I've got time to do that, but I've been just popping out for like an hour here and there getting stuff done. Saturday I plan to do a lot of work on the car, well, not unfortunately. I had a final opportunity, because the Rover 75 is still here, it's still beautiful, still one of the most beautiful cars ever made in my opinion, and that is one of the finest examples of one of the most beautiful cars ever made. But ever since I bought it, me and a friend of mine have been planning to do a video together with it. Finally got an opportunity to do it on Saturday, so thanks Batch for being available last minute. And yeah, got that done. Unfortunately, it meant I couldn't do any welding on here, but glad to have finally got the 75 video done. I don't want to part with the 75, but £3,500 does secure it if you want it, because it needs to go to a good home for one thing, that's most important. But I've got the new projects waiting in the wings, and I cannot bring them on to the channel until I go and pay for them. I can't pay for them, or park them in fact, until poor old 75 has left the wings. Very, very sad to see it go, but yeah, needs must unfortunately, so drop me an email if you are promising to give it the good home it deserves, and me some money. Right, now, so today, crack on with this. What we need to do today is crack out the drill bits, drill through the two new layers of metal, the outer sill and the inner sill that I've put on here, and basically plug weld. I had been considering cutting it short by about a finger width, making the whole thing a bit shorter and then kind of seam welding along the bottom, but this looks really neat and tidy with this cut flush edge, and that is a consideration, and that's how it should be done with the plug welding, so we'll give that a whirl and see how we get on. So I'm starting with a small one to get an easy drill through, then going to a bigger one in order to get a decent size level of area to weld onto. And I've got this whole area clamped tight so that when I go in with the welding, it all is nice and tight together. Okay, Bush. So I'm doing 10 to the top as well. I should have played Joker on that. I've got every question right so far. Right. That looks good to me. Borderline okay gripping on bits which feel like they're holding on quite tightly actually, so I'll move the clamps along and we'll drill some more holes and keep on zipping this up. Maybe we'll even move into time lapse. Inner panel doesn't come down quite as low as this bit of trim here, so I've drilled holes through to air, so I've got to do a hole just there, which is great. Yeah, quite tidy. The trick to doing these things, as I'm told, is to get a nice big hole, about 8 to 10 millimeters or so, start in the center, get a nice hot little pool of weld in the middle and spiral out until you fill the hole, a nice little caldera of molten metal that brings it all into one lump of steel. Of course, my standard of welding, this is very much the blind leading the blind, but in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed king is man, or something. So, yes, at least we've got something that looks passably like a weld now, so let's move on. I need a cup of tea now. And this, folks, is the last one. Yeah, there we go. We've now got a fully plug welded down the length of this ridiculously long car panel, which I need to now get a bit of grindage on and sort this out. So that's more time to spend doing that. Yay, lucky me. But at least we have got now a solid outer sill. The car is basically, let's call it complete. We're finished. Almost. Got to trim this down. I've had a look at the other side. This comes down about here, just inside the edge of this bit here, and then we need to put a flat panel down to match that just there as well, so that'll be easy to do, and then put a little bit down from here to meet that. We're going to look at the other side in a second to try and match that side to side. Then down the front, so we can carry on this in a second, no, I'm not sure we need to put a fold on this or not. Put a closing panel on there possibly. I'll look at the other side, see what that's happened there. So we've been set up for a week or two in spider season. Cut this little bit out here, which is right by the brake line, unfortunately. Fill that with the thickest metal I can find, and then rebuild the panel, which is not, despite what everyone says, the battery support panel. Right, there we go. We've now got a sill on the car, which is now rust-proofed, well, rust-prepared, I should say, with rust-neutralising primer. So that should be good and proper. With that sort of red look, red oxide-y look, it does look a bit like a cruise ship of some kind, like a cargo vessel ready to go to sea. Although maybe the Titanic might be more appropriate considering the level of rust. But yeah, so we've now got that all sorted out. Next step, I'm going to whip this wheel off quickly and then cut back that little panel just there. Because I need to put a fold in about here, where this ends just there. So if I cut this along there and fold that up, then we might actually have a little solution just there, won't we? Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, right. That almost worked. There's some rust in here we need to take out as well. Oh, dear me. How the hell am I going to cut that? Right, so I've managed to find myself a little bit of a problem here. What I've done is managed to cut a bit of an angle out of here to try and get rid of this rusted metal just here. But there's some, I don't think this is put in by the bodgers. This appears to be like a sound deadening rubbery foam stuff, which I guarantee is going to be as flammable as bananas. And that's going to be a major issue in terms of welding up in this little corner here, so I'm not quite sure what to do about that. I'll get the grinder on this area, but you know, the wire brush thing to try and clean this up. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to deal with that. I have no idea what this stuff is, but I guarantee it's flammable. Screwdriver and a pair of pliers is basically a old-fashioned kit, and it turns out this bit of metal here wasn't particularly strong on the outside either, but I think I've got the majority of it out. So what I'm going to do now, rather than carry on with this bit, I'm going to put a little rust killer on there and move down the front while the rust killer does its thing. So we've got the VHT rust killing stuff doing its thing down the back end of the car. Down the front though, we need to deal with this hole in this truck chassis, which I'm amazed as anything has rotted through, quite frankly. So I've done what I can to move this brake Oh god, there's crusty flipping rust off the bottom of this as well. Why am I bothering with this car? Yeah, so I don't want to be cutting into that, so I've undone that and pushed that aside a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to cut this back a wee bit to get a smooth edge to weld into. I'm trying to undo the other bolt on the back of here. Ow! So I can move this brake line away from there. A lot of surface rust under here. I'm going to have to get the wire brush on all of this and do a lot of cleaning up. Could really do with getting this car indoors, to be honest, because it does not like living outside. Bit of wire brushage has got us back to shiny metal around here. Taking a fairly basic route towards protecting the brake line there. Gaffer tape some wood to it, so if anything does get too close to it, it'll bounce off the wood and gaffer instead. I'm going to load a bit of rust converter up inside there. Once I've done the welding, I am going to fill that with cavity wax. Get the old built hammer out. Load the entire thing with gallons of the stuff, and all this outside before the wing goes back on. This is all going to have to be chassis blacked, ground back and chassis blacked. It's going to be a big old job because a lot of it. Oh dear me. Now the question is, how much of this do I cut back to give a smooth edge to? At the bottom to try and make it a more regular shape, but I want to try and keep it as much original metal as possible. And I've got a bit of arts and crafts here, so I've put a load of ink off a pen on, a felted pen on there, pressed that hard into that so I can see the shape of that in mirror image. So now we've got a shape we can kind of cut out and transfer to metal. So I've done a fair amount of sculpting on this little bit of metal here, and I've put some zinc weld through primer on the back of it, so hopefully it won't rust immediately, and that now slots in there rather neatly. So I just need to go and get a magnet or something to hold that in place, and then I can zap that into place. A convenient bolt that was just minutes ago holding the brake line to the body as an earth point. I've got a big old Draper welding magnet holding the bit of metal into the car, so after the first couple of tack cords I can take that off and I can zip around it and we'll be done. Huzzah! Ow. This is where I used to have trouble with my first original welding stuff. I only had 2 welding powers, so if one was too high and one was too low, you had no chance of hitting the right amount of power to not either get no penetration into the steel or to not blow holes in it. This one gives me an awful lot more control, even if I've not really got a proper idea of how to use it. And there we go, a little bit of grinding, and it's going to be virtually almost indistinguishable from an unrepaired or original, previous to be needing to be repaired, bit of metal just there. And once everything's been wire brushed and chassis blacked or under sealed in a few days' time, then you'd never know there'd been a repair there in the first place, which is the ultimate objective. So one more thing to tick off the list. Just need to have a quick look at the other side to see if I need to do anything on the front of here or if this was left open by Ford. Right, so we've now reached the end of whatever day we are on to now with this particular project. We've got a closing piece here on the front here, and I'm now in the process of seam sealing over this entire seam. So when it's all get painted later on, it's going to be, well, as rust proof as possible. There's one thing I will say, I'd completely redid this. It was just a little slim triangle at first, and I realised as I was welding it, I was not covering anywhere near enough metal, so I cut it out and put a new bit in there. This just fitted a little bit more accurately. And this is just a rather horrible messy job because I can't find a brush, so I'm doing it with a screwdriver, which is not the neatest way. It's really not the neatest way of applying stuff to anything, really. Just scrape it all with a screwdriver, but it does the trick, kind of, ish. Well, good morning, peoples of the internet, and right now I do feel kind of a lot like a low-budget Sarah Entombed, because we're now entering day 3, possibly 4. I've actually lost track of trying to fix the side of this car. So now, moving on from yesterday's endeavours, I'm going to carry on with the rear of this little corner here, trying to sort out the little patchwork quilt of nonsense in that corner. This little fold-over thing doesn't quite meet anything. I've got to put a plate in the side there, and yeah, basically all the fun of the fair. So let's crack on. Right, so there we go. So that was roughly the kind of shape I need to be making to fit into that little corner just there. Then we can sort out the rest of this mess in a moment. So cutting chunks of metal into shapes to fit in the car. This is actually the offcut from the end of this bit of metal here. So this is actually the perfect gauge of steel to match what I'm welding to, bizarrely. And also free steel. Giving us a quick blast with some zinc primer for the back of it. We want to get dry hurry, so hot air gun to the rescue. All the stuff, by the way, is on Amazon. Follow my affiliate link, and that does help keep the channel ticking along. Well, looks like we've got ourselves a repair panel ready to blomp into place. It's not beautiful, but it'll do the trick. First weld of the day, here we come. Oh, sleeves. So I wear a long sleeve shirt on a hot day. This is actually really hard to do because I can't really see where I need to stick on the torch. So I can't get my head round far enough to do this. I imagine if I had a 4-post ramp of some kind, this would be quite easy. On the plus side, I've not set fire to any of this foamy stuff. On the negative side, I cannot see what I'm doing on this sill seam just here. I'm actually having to take a photo of it so I can see if I welded in the right place or not. I just stick the torch in and just go for it and hope for the best. And you know what? A lot of it does seem to be in the right place, incredibly. Which isn't too bad. A really weird thing just happened. I had one of my round little rechargeable lamps stuck up in there. I knocked it off, oops, and that happened. Didn't mean to do it as an exact reproduction. And it has literally vanished. I don't know where on earth it could have gone. It has disappeared into a void. And a vortex has opened up to another dimension, and my little torch has just been swallowed up by it. That's just incredibly insane. I don't understand where it could have gone. Madness gone mad, I tells you. Well, that's probably the worst bit of welding I've done on this entire car, but access is virtually impossible, but it looks okay. And once it's smothered in a bit more, yeah, what do you call it, seam sealer, we're going to be good. Let's just trim this up and sort out the little holes we've got everywhere, and when we're done. Thank you. I just need to put a seam down there, which is, again, is impossible to see what I'm doing. But then this is why I always keep my little offcuts of shaping metal, because then that can go in there, a little trim off that, and similarly, a little bit just there, just to close those little holes up. There we go. We now have an end to this bit. I did the little tiny seam on the end where the 2 or 3 bits of metal all joined together just there. That's one solid, actually really, really solid end to that sill just there. So I'll give that a little grind up, cover it in some seam sealer. And then, of course, we need to do a little bit of something just here as well. I need a tape measure for this one because that needs to come down like that and in there to shape that. That's going to be really tricky, actually. I just came around here to have a look at this side to make a comparison and sort of heights and things and what it's going to look like. And look what I just found, my lamp, which I only just managed to avoid. Oh, just doesn't quite fit down there. That's lucky. Let's put it back though. So this needs to cut in, or jut in I should say, at the same level as the bottom of the door. And then whatever they did with this expanding foam is what happens there. The shape pretty much I need to be making here. So yeah, that's all good fun, huh? A return panel just here as well, but I'm not in a position to shape that, so I'm going to cut that as a separate piece and weld it and grind it separately. There's going to be a bit of filler on this one because there just is, to make that look as neat as possible, but there we go. Let's zip it in and then we're done. Boo-boo, this is much heavier grade steel that I've made this bit out of than this bit. That's actually quite thin steel, so yeah, that's going to be a bit of an issue, welding those two together. So now we've got the this closing panel rebate bit shaped roughly as it's going to be, because obviously we do need to keep maintain the tradition of a rust trap to keep the dirt caught behind the wheels, so we'll rust through in a couple more years, otherwise it won't be a proper job. Brilliant. Right, okay, so we now have, whoops, I won't touch that, it's going to be boiling hot. Right, so we now have an area that's like that. We've got a rebate just there, we've got solid metal there. This is basically, apart from several hours of grinding and a skim of filler to make that a nice shape, a solid rear quarter. So the welding is now basically done on the structure of the car on this side, which is frankly astonishing. I mean, bear in mind, I had no idea I needed to do any welding on this car a couple of months ago and to having to put an entire side on the sill, that's quite a big step. I'm actually quite pleased with the fact that this is now solid. I mean, if I didn't care about the appearance, I could go off and MOT this side of the car now, apart from putting the wing back on. And the other thing, which I need to go and quickly do right now, oh, ow, ow, ow. Pins and needles in my feet, but nearly down too long. Oh, dear me. Now there's this thing still. This lives in here. It's a great thing for putting your cup of tea on when you're working on the car. However, it's meant to be part of the inner structure of the inner wing and the battery support. It's not, as a lot of people said when I asked what's this thing called, the battery tray. It's way smaller than the battery and it's only part of that structure. And I cannot find one on Rock Auto. I cannot find one exactly the same. People have sent me some things that are quite similar to it, but not exactly the same. So I'm gonna have to grind this with the wire brush and repair it. And yeah, go that way, I think. This thing has been soaking in like a rust killer for ages actually. I stuck it in there and forgot about it. It's been like about 2 weeks. So I'm just going to go hit it with the wire wheel and see what we can do. Well, that's actually cleaned up almost invisibly. There is amazingly some metal coloured metal in this bit of metal. Not a lot, to be fair, but let's cut out this rotty bit. This must be no more than like a $10 part. It's ridiculous having to be fixing it. I guess it's more eco, apart from all the gas and electricity it's going to use to do that. It's basically that shape. Testing this just here in order to kind of make it meet that broadly correctly. Got this handy magnetic triangle-y thing to give it the well, the support it needs while I'm in there. That was a fair bit of welding, but apart from a little corner I missed there, that's actually astonishingly good penetration, considering I turned that down to the lowest I've ever set this particular welder to. So I'm going to quickly grind this back and then give it some paint, and hopefully we can call that done. Couple of minutes with the grindy disc, and you'd almost not know it had been repaired. So I've saved a whole $10, which is about what, £6? Right, so we are now done for this video. We've got an, oh hello dog, we've got an escapee. Mike, back indoors, good boy, back indoors, good boy. Come on you, in you go, good lad. Where was I? Yes. We are done for this video. We've now got a complete sill down the side of this car, which is a major accomplishment. We've got this little corner sorted out, which is actually quite a time-consuming load of effort. I'll ground it back a bit. I'll put some seam sealer on there once that red paint has dried some more. And we have repaired that panel down there. We've got the front on that panel. Basically, this side of the car is now completely solid. Oh yeah, I forgot we repaired that bit as well. There's been several days of blatting around with the welder. What I need to do now is refit that. I'm going to paint that black once that red paint has dried as well. So that I'll load up some thick black paint to hide the repair and the fact it's very rusty. That can go back in there. The next stage is to get in here, wire brush all of this chassis stuff, get those flakes of loose paint on there, chassis black all of this area in here where we've got access to it, clean this area off here as well. I need to drill out this stud here, which is one of these studs that hold that in place. Get all this painted grey and rust proof as well, and then significantly, this is going to be the tricky one, need to repair the front wing, the front fender if you're watching in America, because that is rotted off basically at this level. Now I've hunted high and low for a good replacement pair of wings here in the UK, and I have drawn an absolute blank. I've spoken to banger racers, car hire people where, you know, these things get smashed in TV and film recordings. I can really only find them in America, and the shipping is just ridiculous. So I think I'm going to have to try and repair the one that I've got, and then also repair the one on the other side as well, which is not good. On this side, yeah, basically it's everything from here. I'm going to have to go and find a local friend so I can take some measurements, some profile, get a bit of cardboard and kind of work out what the shape is, how it curves down, so I actually know what it looks like. Then we can make a repair to that. Then same as in the back corner, just there, skim it with filler. So we've got solid metal with just a light skim just to make it look good. We will make this good though. Right, so as always, thank you for watching. I do appreciate your time. Hope you've enjoyed this video and hope it's not been too repetitive. I've cut out many hours of work, but look at the progress though. This thing is absolutely coming back into its own again. I need to go and order up some Aspen Green. I'm sure this is Aspen Green. I'm going to dig out the American paint code for this and see if my local paint shop can mix some up for me. Because obviously that whole area there needs to be green. That's the other next thing. There's a lot of next things on this car. Right, oh, and filling the whole lot with an absolute ton of wax oil, because I have got a big box of I've got a big box of Built Amber Dynax Extreme Duty, and I'm going to use more than is sensible getting that loaded with oil, because I don't want that to rust ever again. I don't want to be doing this a second time. Right, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, visit the Amazon affiliate store for all the tools and things, all this really cool Draper stuff. Head over to Diamond Bright where the FD10 code has now been reactivated. Turns out they had actually gone off by mistake. It's back on again now. And yeah, like, subscribe, all that kind of thing. Maybe consider becoming a Patreon or a channel member if you want to help support ridiculous car rescues like this. Anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye.